And now it's time for Windy City Sports Talk. And your host, Ryan Young.
Hello, Chicago. Welcome to this live Tuesday, December the 6th edition of Windy City Sports Talk. I am Ryan Young. For the next half hour, we're going to recap and preview everything going on in the world of Chicago sports. You want to follow me on Twitter? It's at ringside_rep. We will, of course, talk about Bulls Blazers. We got some preview, and I didn't even realize that the Bulls are also playing tonight. The Blackhawks are back at the United Center, so we got a bunch of stuff to talk about. But, of course, the news that broke just a couple of hours ago is the news of Chris Sale finally has a new team. Or should I say a new pair of socks, as Chris Sale has been traded from the Chicago White Sox to the Boston Red Sox. Yohan Moncada is the crown jewel of this trade, and I think this is going to work out very good. There's a couple other prospects in there as well, but I think this is a move that the White Sox obviously needed to make. There was a lot of talk early this morning about the Washington Nationals being very close. I haven't watched any baseball stuff to know how they fell out of it or how Boston swooped in, but that's after watching the winter meetings for the last handful of years, it kind of seems like it's always the one team that's favored to get someone, and then it's someone else that comes right under the radar and is able to get him. And that's, I think, what happened here. Chris Sale obviously wasn't going to stay with the White Sox. And again, a lot of rumor talking about him going to the Washington Nationals. I think if he would have went there, that would have been a big threat to the Cubs because that rotation would have been that much more stacked for the Washington Nationals. And I think they're going to have to think they missed out, or they're very close to getting Andrew McCutchen, which adds to the bat. Because technically, when you look at the pitching side of things, they have very good pitching. They have Max Scherzer, they have Gio Gonzalez, and they definitely have Steven Strasburg if they can get him for a healthy dosage of a season. So I think they have a tremendous team, and I think if you would have added Chris Sale, they would have made that rotation very good, especially in a 5 or 7 game series, which is what obviously you're talking about the playoffs. But they don't get him, and that just popped in my head that maybe they are much more closer to landing Andrew McCutchen, which means they're going to have to send some of their guys off to Pittsburgh. And then that'll make pretty much Pittsburgh back to irrelevant because McCutchen was the thing that kind of brought that team back to life. And now all of a sudden that takes them, that would take them out of the mix. And then for the White Sox, Yohan Moncada did a very good job this past season with the Boston Red Sox. He has some playing time, and now you look at, from the Boston Red Sox side of you look at Chris Sale being on this team, a very, very talented guy, a guy that's going to add to that rotation. Yes, he comes with some baggage with the drama, with the jersey, and how he spoke out about Drake LaRoche last year and all that nonsense. But still, he's still a guy that you got to look at it being a very, very good very good pitcher. And now that you have him, and you have him being your top guy, one of your top guys, because over here they got David Price also, so they got two of the best lefties in baseball on their team. And now, of course, they don't have Big Papi anymore. They didn't really, and there was rumors about possibly them going after Edwin Encarnacion, and now after getting this, I don't know what happens to Edwin Encarnacion, or for that matter, Jose Bautista, because it looks like Toronto's not interested in either one of them. They thought maybe Edwin Encarnacion would fill in that DH role, or possibly be that first base guy for to fill in for David Ortiz, who just retired. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how else Boston handles this, because offensively, I'm not sure how they're going to be able to handle it. I think they still have Pablo Sandoval, who it always depends what Sandoval you get. Do you get the one out of spring training that's a little overweight, or do you get the one that's actually hitting, or what do you get? And I think it'll be interesting to see what happens and where that goes. But from another side, the White Sox obviously are completely sold on, okay, this season's going to be a wash. Probably the next two are going to be a wash. And probably going to be mainly where you're looking at just wanting to go out there and try to play for the draft pick, because I think right now that's what you go for. Look what the Cubs were able to do. They had a couple of miserable, horrible seasons their first year of their rebuild, and they were able to get guys like Chris Bryant, and right there he just won the MVP award. So if the White Sox haven't been really through this before, because they're used to the Kenny Williams thing, they're used to the thing with, you know what, we're just going to buy, and not worry about anything. We're not going to rebuild. Well, guess what? You're going to have to. And yes, you weren't getting, even what you were doing was not putting asses in the seats at guaranteed rate field. So I think This team is doing the right thing. It's going to take a couple of years. You're not going to bounce right up there, but I'm going to tell you, from the point of view I have as a Cubs fan, it's the 2 or 3 years of absolutely dreadful baseball will work out in the end. You will not see that productivity probably till 2019, maybe 2020, but when you look back, you're going to be like, wow, was it worth it? Because when this team, and they get young, and they know what they're doing. Now, the only problem is I'm comparing it to the Cubs, and the Cubs have the best front office in Major League Baseball with Theo Epstein and Jed Hoyer. The White Sox do not have that because they have a owner that likes to have his grasp on everything, and that's Jerry Reinsdorf. And Tom Ricketts kind of Tom Ricketts lets Theo Epstein do his thing and Jed Hoyer do his thing, but they always want to constantly see what. But Jerry Reinsdorf, who also owns the Bulls, always wants to have his fingerprints over everything. So I think that makes for some problems, but we'll see how they'll be able to handle it. I think this is the first big move. So as of right now, you'd look at your opening day starter for the White Sox to be Jose Quintana. And I'm not 100% sure if that's going to be... I mean, it's still good, and number one, but also if you get rid of him and maybe get some more draft picks, possibly look at Carlos Rodon being your opening day starter. I think that'd be very big for this team. You got to start young, and I think that's the way to do it. And then you got, like I said, I think that rookie, I'm not sure what position he plays, but I'm sure he's going to be jumping right in there. And when you got some of that young talent, what was his name, Tim Anderson, he came in and did a tremendous job last year for the Sox. And I think this is such, even though you're thinking, oh no, we're not going to make the playoffs. You weren't making the playoffs with Chris Sale. Back up, at least go in the right direction. The White Sox have not been able to do this for years. Enjoy it, embrace it. You're going to hate the next couple of years, but guess what? Life goes on. You're going to be in the Cubs lovable loser kind of stage where the next couple of years, it's going to be dreadful. It's going to be ugly. It's going to be terrible. But when you get them draft picks and things start coming together for this team in 2 to 3, 4 years, you are going to absolutely freaking love it and enjoy every second of it. So the next couple of years, enjoy a baseball game. It's easy to get a ticket to U.S. Cellular Field, or now Progressive Rate Field. So enjoy it. Don't hate on it. And just know that it's the right thing. I mean, even though you don't want to see another losing team because you have to enjoy the Bears, I mean, right now the only real contender, and from a Sox fan's point of view, is probably the Blackhawks, of a team that has, or in the city that, I'm getting for a Sox fan, because if you're a Cub fan, you have a chance to win it. But the only team you have besides it. So, I mean, enjoy it in what you can, but it is going to be an ugly couple of years. We're going to lose games 10-0 and 15-0 possibly. But maybe this team always starts off very good, and you have a manager that can handle young guys. Rick Renteria did a tremendous job with the Cubs in 1 year, and the only reason he got axed because Joe Madden became a free agent, and Joe Madden came right in. That is the only reason Rick Renteria lost his job. I think that Rick Renteria deserved to be able to keep his job, but unfortunately, that's not how the cookie crumbles in Major League Baseball. Obviously, that was the right move also. And then, look at that. Rick Renteria jumped right on board. What was it, last year? Was his first year, so he took a year off, and then he was able to do it. So I think it's tremendous. I think overall, the Sox did a great job. They're doing the right thing. Just deal with it. It's going to be a long year. If I'm still doing this show in the summer, which I plan on it, there's going to be a lot of ugliness talking about the White Sox, but it is all going to turn out positive 3 to 4 years from now when they're a contending team. This isn't going to happen overnight, ladies and gentlemen. That's not what a rebuild is. Take it from me. There's going to be some ugly games. Like I said, I went in the rebuild of the Cubs for one of the first years. I turned 21, went to my game on my birthday, Cubs-Mets. Cubs lost 19-0. I stayed for every frickin' pitch. It's time for you to do, though. I mean, the Sox were doing that anyway, but it's time for you guys to embrace that a little bit also. So the White Sox trade Chris Sale to the Red Sox, begin the rebuild. They get, I can't think of his name slipping my mind off the top of my head, but anyway, enjoy it and make the best of it. So that is the big news coming out of the winter meetings today. Also, other news, Under Armour and Fanatics, which I bought a couple of things from Fanatics from the Cubs for the Cubs World Series run and their merchandise. They will be starting in 2020 being the official sponsor of jerseys. And right now, I believe it's Majestic. Majestic going to step down. Majestic's made some very nice clothes. So now that Under Armour's going to step in at 2020, there's going to be some beautiful stuff, and their logo's going to be on the jerseys and everything. So looking forward to that, because Under Armour makes some nice clothes, and it'll actually probably be reasonable priced, but it's going to be like Cubs stuff, whatever, your team stuff. So I think that's very big. So Under Armour and Fanatics will become the jersey and the MLB sponsor and the MLB makers of merchandise, I guess you'd say. So only a couple more years left for Majestic, who I think have done a very good job. And so I'm not sure if they're just going to go away, because I'm pretty sure that's what they made their bank on, was baseball. So that's that. Already 10 minutes into the show, opening up with Chris Sale getting traded to the Red Sox. There was action last night, ladies and gentlemen. The Bulls were at their home to welcome in the Portland Trailblazers. Did not get a chance to watch this game at all. I had to watch Monday Night Raw. It's usually what my Mondays consist of. And I think this was a game where the Bulls, I think they knew they had to come out and try to win. They had to play very well, but they were stopped by Damian Lillard. Damian Lillard did an absolutely glorious job. Played exceptionally well. He was a one-man wrecking crew. I mean, this is a very good Portland Trailblazer team. I mean, when I still look back, even when I complain, when the Bulls could have gotten LaMarcus Aldridge, who's now a San Antonio Spur, they could have got LaMarcus Aldridge. Instead, they went with Tyrese Thomas. And LaMarcus that would have been a great added him to that team, really. But so I think it's big to see. But it was a nice game by him, and the Bulls lost 112 to 110. I saw little bits and pieces of this game. Rajon Rondo was not in this game. He was suspended for one game for whatever he did to I believe it was assistant coach Jim Boylan. He had I don't know what he did or what happened, but nonetheless, so he was suspended yesterday, and he's had these numerous times before. So this isn't a first offense. So that's probably the one problem you have with this. And I think it is a problem, because you want to be able. Rajon Rondo's your starting point guard. You want him out there every single night you have a chance. So I think that definitely is a problem, to not have him out there, and when he's doing it when arguing with your coach. I mean, this wasn't a wardrobe thing like Cam Newton. This is a guy having arguments with your assistant coach. Jim Boylan was also was there in the Thibodeau era. He was also an assistant coach with the Bucks when Scott Skiles was there, I think. So I didn't even know he was back with the Bulls. So, but anyway, so that goes Rajon Rondo. Dwayne Wade had 30-some points. I believe he either had 30 or 34, and Damian Lillard had the other one. So a very good game by Dwayne Wade. The only thing worrisome now is that, and we'll talk about it a little bit later on, that he might not be able to play in the game tonight. They were going to ask him if he was going to be able to do a back-to-back. So we'll have to see if he'll be able to do that. So I think this is going to be a really big matchup for the Bulls, but right now they're only 2 games over 500. I think they know they got to really play very, very good basketball. They got to be able to step up, nose to the grindstone, and be able to win this basketball game. But again, we'll talk about that later. Last night's game, they dominated early. Remember, in that game in Portland, they played exceptionally well. And now all of a sudden they have the game at home where they just did not play good basketball at all. I mean, it was early. It was back and forth. They had leads at one time. I think they were down by 5 with about a minute left, and they were able to get back in the game. There was a costly foul on the Blazers late. So, I mean, the Bulls had their opportunity to win this game, but unfortunately, they were not able to cash in. So I think that obviously was the problem. They were unable to do that. So we'll see if they'll be able to bounce back again tonight, and we'll be previewing that game a little bit later on here on Windy City Sports Talk. We also got the Blackhawks, Coyotes to talk about, as the Blackhawks will try to get back. The last win we saw from a Chicago team was Friday night when the Bulls beat the Cavs. So hopefully with both Chicago teams playing tonight, we'll be able to see another win from Chicago. But so I also got a couple other things to talk about. The documentary for the Cubs I watched that over the weekend. So I got that. There's also another one coming out. So we're gonna talk about all that. Plus, I got a movie review. Went out today. Saw Bad Santa 2. It's not gonna be one of the ones you want to show the kids. But that's all coming up. But before, let's get you caught up to date on the Windy City Sports Minute. This is your Windy City Sports Minute for Tuesday, December the 6th. The Bulls were back on the floor last night at the United Center to battle with the Portland Trailblazers, and the Bulls lost in the final of 112 to 110. 10. Dwayne Wade had 34 points, but Damian Lillard led the way with the Blazers with 30. The Blackhawks back on the ice tonight at the United Center. They'll be home to host the Coyotes, 7:30 Comcast Sports. The Bulls will be back on the floor tonight, but on the road in the Palace of Auburn Hills against the Detroit Pistons. That'll be a 6:30 tip-off on Comcast Sportsnet. On the baseball side, the White Sox have traded Chris Sale to the Boston Red Sox for a bunch of prospects. I can't think of the guy's name at the top of my head. And Madada or whatever. But anywho, that is your Windy City Sports Minute. Now back to Windy City Sports Talk. Hey, we're back here on Windy City Sports Minute. Glad you could join us on this live Tuesday. We'll be back obviously tomorrow live. The only day of the week where I usually don't do live usually is Friday. But I appreciate everyone that tunes in. Of course, we recap Bulls Blazers. Talked about the trade again, Chris Sale getting traded from the White Sox to the Red Sox. As you heard me in the Windy City Sports Minute, not really forgetting the name, and now I've mentioned his name, slipped my mind altogether. Mancada. So that's all that. First things first, let's talk about the Cubs documentaries that were on TV this past week. Of course, they were kind of unveiled in a viewing, and they're also going to be available on DVD, but they aired on Fox Sports 1 on Friday night. The first one was to relive all 7 games of the World Series, and I think it was greatly done. I believe that was the one by Vince Vaughn, and I think a very good job. I mean, they went through all 7 games. The first one was a little, obviously the first 4 out of the 4 games, 3 out of the first 4 games were very hard to watch. After, of course, the Cubs losing 3 out of the first 4. But again, on last games and everything, and you just were able to get the responses and hear them from the Cubs players. I think just a great job, and I think well done. I think it was by MLB Productions that did that. I think just a great job of that. Then there was a second one following it. It was like from the vision of Cub fans, and I think that's a very awesome perspective as well, because it wasn't famous fans. It was the guy that also, one of the guys that they interviewed a lot was the guy that owns Yesterday's, which is like this antique shop that's right down the street from Wrigley, and it's always on our way when we go to D'Agostino's, which is right down there also. Owner and him, and he was pretty old, and he's like, I want to see one before I die, and obviously got a chance to see that. But he was on there, and then there was fans, and just a great. They interviewed the guy that told his dad that he was going to watch the World Series with them when they won it, and that was the guy that listened to the game at the cemetery. Where his dad was. I thought that was a touching moment. And then there's another one coming up this Thursday night. It's what Bob Costas, MLB Presents. It's going to be The Joy in Wrigleyville. That'll be on MLB Network, 7 o'clock Thursday night. Check it out. Should be a good one. Looking forward to watching that as well. I've been able to definitely check out all the documentaries because you really can't get enough of it. I mean, it was, like I said, I told my mom that today. I said, I don't want to relive those moments because the stress was beyond belief for 2 weeks. I might not have sounded freaking out when the games were happening. I don't want to go that again until next October, of course. But I would not want to rewind that and go through that again. It was pure, especially Game 7, was ups and downs of emotions, too much torture, and I'm glad I don't think I can ever get more nervous than I was in that game, and I won't, because that's the team that I live and die for out of all the teams, is the Cubs, so I don't think I can ever get that worked up and that as nervous as I was in them games. So, again, that is 7 o'clock MLB Network, or it's 8 o'clock, whatever, on MLB Network, one of the two, Thursday night. Check it out. Movie review time. We only have 11 minutes left. We still got to preview Bulls and the Blackhawks, both in action tonight. But I went to go see Bad Santa 2. And, of course, I saw the first one, of course, with Billy Bob Thornton. The little guy was in there also. And then Thurman Merman was in there. It's not going to win I don't even know what is it, Emmys, Oscars, whatever. Maybe Emmys. It's not going to win any of those, obviously. A lot of swearing, not for kids. Like I said, I went with it with my mom. Not the show you really want to go to see with a parent. Because if you know Bad Santa, he's Bad Santa. But I think overall, Kathy Bates is in it. She plays Billy Bob Thornton's mom, who you really never saw in the first one. And a lot of it's filmed in Chicago. Because apparently he lives in Phoenix and travels to Chicago to do what he's doing. And they showed Water Tower Place, which I like that mall. So it was nice to see that they taped most of it in Chicago. So we'll see. I thought it was a great it's a movie that you just want to watch and laugh. It's not a movie that you're going to judge, oh, this is going to win an Emmy. It's just one to sit back, relax, and enjoy. And if you're one of them uptight honkies that don't enjoy, don't like swearing, which, I mean, I don't mind it. I do it a lot. Obviously off of all the things that I do between here and Ringside Report, but if you're one of them people that don't like it for at all, obviously do not check out Bad Santa 2. So we got 9 minutes remaining. I think there's nothing really else to talk about besides getting into the preview and stuff. I'm not sure. I'm going to go on MLB.com and see if any more moves have been made in their winter meetings. I know the Chris Sale thing. Napoli, and apparently the Red Sox are introducing Chris Sale right now. The Red Sox also land Thornburg for Shaw. That was a Brewer-Red Sox deal. And I'm trying to get more Mancada. Yoan Mancada. He is a third baseman. And again, he played some last year. He made his Major League debut on September 2nd. His birthday is May 27th, 1995. So if he's 4, he's 21. His 2016 stats, 19 at-bats, 4 hits, 3 runs, and an RBI. So just a very, very microcosm. But I think he's going to be a key for this the future of the White Sox. So hopefully, and I'm not sure if he had Major League time this year, you got to think he's going to have Major League time next year. So you got to think that maybe, look at that. I'm not sure if they're going to deal Abreu, but your corner infielders are going to be the future of your team, just like how the Cubs are with Brian Rizzo. You can look at that being the same thing for the White Sox with Mancada and Jose Abreu. And I think, like I said, Tim Anderson. So they got some young potential. I think their outfield is obviously, I'm sure when Melky Cabrera's contract's up, he's going to be done. Adam Eaton's a very good center fielder. I think he's kind of the glue that keeps this team from absolutely falling apart. But I still think it's a great move by the White Sox. You knew it was happening. Again, a lot of people thought it was going to be the Nationals. So, and apparently, according to MLB.com, this is by Jonathan Mayo, he's compared to Robinson Cano with more speed. He can hit for average and power from both sides. So he's a switch hitter. So I think this is a big win for the White Sox, and wish him the best in that. And obviously, we'll get probably a good look at him in spring training and during the regular season. Because like I said, this team wasn't going out to win a championship this year anyway. So might as well restart and try to build for one. And you can finally start to see the light at the end of the tunnel of this team being complete again. The light, you're not going to see the light for a couple of years, but it's going to be dark. It's going to be if you're a diehard Sox fan, you just got to try to hold on for dear life because the ride is going to be bumpy over the first couple of years. But you got to think, just like with the Bears, you got to think draft. And right now the Bears are, to get on that train wreck, they are 4th right now because the Jaguars are 3. And the Jets are the same record, who got blown out last night by the Colts. So the Bears could definitely be that 5th pick. So they could have went from 2 to 5, which is still good. And Matt Barkley going to be the quarterback, and of course we'll preview their matchup this week in Detroit coming up a little bit later on. Okay, now let's preview the games we got tonight. We got about 6 minutes left. First, the Bulls will be in Detroit to battle with the Pistons. Bulls, after that tough loss last night, I think, and it was a tough loss, and to be able to only lose by 2 points to be so close to being able to win, they had some good leads in that game against the Portland Trail Blazers. I believe they got out to a 14-2 run, I believe in the third, they got him the lead. So I think or the fourth, but a game that now it's a second of a back-to-back. They had to travel. They're in Auburn Hills to take on the Detroit Pistons. The Bulls, I mean, the other question is, Rondo will be back, but now can Dwayne Wade handle a back-to-back anymore? So I think that's going to be interesting to see if he's going to be able to handle that, and if the Bulls will be able to just not look like that old team that I think eventually, towards the end of the year, with Rondo and with Wade, they're going to look like. Now, of course, they're going to get Michael Carter-Williams back. They're going to get Doug McDermott back, but they don't have him right now. So you can't focus on them two at this very moment. So you got to hope for Dwayne Wade, and you got to hope for, and Jimmy Butler's out there night in and night out doing his thing. So he's the guy you look at to really be that guy. So I think he's done a tremendous job so far this season. He needs to just keep doing that. But again, everyone asks, is he the face? He is the face of this team. He's probably the best. He's MVP caliber if this Bulls team was better. But I think this is a big game for. I don't even know who's on the Pistons anymore. Let me clickety-clack here, because we don't have much time left. But I think this is a game the Bulls need to come out here and try to play and try to win. I mean, look at what happened last night. Klay Thompson had 60 points. Didn't play the fourth quarter. The Pistons are 11-11. Bulls are 11-9. Dun, 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 dun. See if we get a preview here. And of course, Stan Van Gundy, I believe, is the general manager and the head coach of those Pistons. I'm not really matchup. They lost their last one to Orlando, so I mean, this don't really tell you who they have, but I think it's a game. Jackson needs a Reggie Jackson for the Pistons. Jackson posted 19 points and 4 assists in 23 minutes after missing the team's first 21 games with left knee tendonitis. That is an article from NBA.com. So the Bulls hoping to try to do it again. There's no real big names on that Detroit Piston team, so the Bulls have a chance to try to get a win tonight. And then let's shift gears quickly over to the Blackhawks. They'll host the Arizona Coyotes tonight. No longer the Phoenix Coyotes. And I always thought they were the team that were leaving Arizona and going to go over to. I thought they were going to end up going to Las Vegas, but they're just doing an expansion team there. So the Blackhawks tonight, 7:30 on Comcast Sportsnet. Of course, both teams on Comcast Sportsnet. The Blackhawks Coyotes will be on Comcast Sportsnet Plus. The Coyotes, their leading scorer, Verbata, with 8 goals. Ryder with 7. None of them are goals. That looks like it's it. 5 from Ekman Larson. Let's see their goalies. Dominique, 4-9 in 15 games. Obviously, Crawford was placed on IR today. So the injuries for the Blackhawks have definitely got to them, and it's been a rough go of it. So the Hawks got to try to just weather the storm. They know they're going to eventually get their guys back. I'm not sure how long IR is because again, he had that emergency appendectomy Saturday in Philadelphia. So not sure how long he's going to be out, but he's definitely obviously one of the, especially for Corey Crawford, he's your goalie. So that leads Scott Darling to be the only. There's 3 of them. Johansson has not played yet for the Hawks. I thought maybe he would have played on Sunday, but he didn't. But if it's Scott Darling, in 9 games played, he's 4-2. He's allowed 20 goals. His save percentage is .912. So hopefully the Hawks can come out and get a win tonight. I'm feeling a 1-1 stretch. Not sure who it'll be, if it'll be the Bulls. They're the second part of a back-to-back. And for the Blackhawks, they'll try to come out and do their thing against the Coyotes at the Madhouse. So we'll see which one will actually happen tonight, as the Bulls and Hawks both in action. Neither team will be in action tomorrow. So on tomorrow's show, we're going to recap Bulls Pistons and Blackhawks Coyotes, and I'm sure I'll find some more stuff to ramble about. We'll probably talk more about the MLB winter meetings that are continuing to go on from Maryland. It seems like every day there's more news coming out of that. So that looks like what that'll be on the docket for tomorrow on our Wednesday live edition of Windy City Sports Talk. Because Cubs, again, they're in for possibly Wade Davis. They're in for a couple of other relievers. So hopefully we find something the Cubs do. But they owned the winter meetings last year. So everyone have a great day. We're back at 3 tomorrow. I'm Ryan Young. Have a great day, Chicago.